Welcome to episode 115 of The Endless Stream. I'm Aidan, and this week I'm joined by Kevin. We are two artists, illustrators, filmmakers, and all-round shit talkers, and each week we take some of the endless stream of content brought to you through Netflix, Hulu, Spotify, YouTube, Amazon Prime, Disney Plus, wherever you get your content. We take a chunk of it, we watch it, and we talk about it. This week we're talking about comics, we're talking about nerd news, we're talking about Secret Invasion, and we're talking about what's coming up in the world. We got Indiana Jones in the future as well. I think we talk about that. If you like what you hear, please consider subscribing to the podcast, heading over to iTunes, heading over to Spotify, liking, subscribing, rating, reviewing. All of those good things really help us out. On top of that, you can head over to Instagram at The Endless Cast, where we put up art and clips to go with each episode. All of that being said, let's get into the episode.
The prodigal son has returned. Kevin McNamara has entered the temple of the Endless Stream and is gracing you with his presence today. You're welcome. I'm grateful for you to meet me again.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Thank you. It's always a pleasure and a joy to have you here. This show is not the same without you. We've scraped by these last few weeks, but now you can return us to the heady heights of success and critical theory and evaluation of
amazing
media.
I actually
tell us what you watched most recently.
I actually didn't listen to any of the previous episodes where I wasn't on it, because I don't really like to waste my time on boring things. But what have I watched recently? Very little. I haven't watched anything up until this weekend, yesterday.
And what was it?
Well, I did catch some of Black Mirror during the week, but it takes me like 3 days to watch one episode
Of Black Mirror?
Yeah.
Why?
I have a lot on. I'm tired. By the time I get home, eat, and ready to watch something, I'm sleeping.
Okay.
I've been non-stop for the last forever, as you well know.
Okay. Well, where have you been?
All over. I've been everywhere, man. That's a Johnny Cash song. I don't know the rest of the lyrics. I do know the rest of the lyrics, but I'm not getting into it. Where have I been? I've been on multiple weddings. Sadly, one funeral. Yeah, I've been about town. Everything's a blur.
Stag highlights.
Oh, plenty of stag highlights. Spending time. You know what? Spending time with the guys that I grew up with was amazing.
Okay.
We're all spread across the globe. One of the boys is in London. One of the boys is in Canada. A few dot around the country and stuff. But yeah, the stag and the wedding from one of the lads I grew up with was so good to hang out with all the guys I grew up with.
Where did you go? What did you do?
We went to Ratsala in Wicklow for the wedding, and it was a beautiful venue. The service was ridiculous. Oh my God, you wouldn't be on your last sup of wine before there was somebody there straight away filling your glass up again, and the food was incredible. For that stag we went down to Cork. I don't know if I said that because Brian was up minding the dog. I can't remember. Everything's a blur.
Yes, you did say you went to Cork.
Yeah, so hanging out with my real friends.
Right.
No, only because to be honest, champagne for my real friends, real pain for my sham friends. What was that in? 25th hour, Edward Norton.
25th hour, yeah. And you said 13th hour. Ed Norton.
Mm-hmm. Dustin Philip Seymour Hoffman, whatever his name was. No, that's like Dustin Hoffman. Yeah, Dustin Philip What's his name? Philip Seymour. The Capote guy.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
That's what I said. Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yeah, whatever. Did you miss me, Aidan?
For the listener, it's 4 a.m. where I am.
He did this to himself.
I did not do this to myself. I agreed to.
I'm okay. You can do that ASMR snore and stuff, and I can just kind of speak randomly over it.
Me.
I wouldn't be surprised if you slept like that. So have you watched the new Black Mirror?
I have not. I've actually watched very little Black Mirror. I'm not very Black Mirror.
I'll save it for Brian. I'll save my breath.
I've done a lot of like Twilight Zones and Outer Limits over the years, and I've watched a chunk of Black Mirror, I guess. But
Twilight Zone's great.
I'm such a horror rejecter. I've been talking to some very, very horror focused fans recently, and like it is funny. It's like just like again through Chris watching Knock at the Cabin, and I watched Old. We talked about that in the last episode as well. You've seen Old.
I have. It's old.
I watched a chunk of Terrifier 2.
Oh, I wanted to watch that.
I didn't know what to expect going into that. Like I expected, I think I expected like really schlocky, poorly made, whatever.
Okay.
The fuck, but like that was an unfair evaluation. Like watching it was extremely polished. It looked great. It walked an interesting line of like looking a little soap opera-y, but being in terms of like how great the shots looked and the color and the polish on it, and like having production value in it, and then just being an absolute like, oh, how to describe it? It's just a showcase of practical visual effects.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Like it is and it isn't.
Oh, it's gross,
like,
is it?
The only way you can get through it, or the only way I could get through it, is like knowing that the actors involved are enjoying how gross the visual effects are. You know, that sort of thing where it's like, hey, they're like, the guy takes a woman's hand by those two fingers and pulls in opposite direction, just splits it.
That happened in an episode of Banshee, but maybe not as gross, but it was pretty brutal.
That is the beginning of a horrific sequence of events that happen to a lot of latex props, but you are watching it going, oh my god, it's so... Okay,
that sounds a little extreme for my taste, but I understand.
You have to watch it going, that actress is, probably a horror nerd and finds this funny in the way that people doing this thing find it funny, but like... Ugh.
I get you. I watched, but speaking of horror, I watched Pearl.
Well, we'll come back to that in a second. Yeah. Just like give us your like new season Black Mirror thoughts that you've watched about.
So I've not finished the last episode just yet. The first episode I felt was the weakest, but that was also the most Black Mirror-esque. And then
what's the first episode about?
Jane is Awful, or Awful Joan is Awful, or something, and it's about a lady who goes on to Netflix kind of parody called Stream Mary one day and sees that her life is being depicted, kind of like, say, basically like, word for word on a TV show, and everybody's watching it going like, what the hell, this is her, but it's starring Salma Hayek, and it transpires that the girl inadvertently agreed to terms and conditions where an AI likeness could be featured on Netflix, featuring her life, trials and tribulations and drama and stuff, but Salma Hayek is starring in it, and then it transpires that Salma Hayek also signed her likeness over to this company to use for, like, say, such a show. But when the girl finds out that the show is copying all of her life, she goes kind of crazy to try and just do something so reprehensible that it can't, that not even Salma Hayek's AI likeness will go for it, and then that causes Salma Hayek to team up with the girl because they're both trying to take down the company that won't let them stop the production of the show. So that was the first episode, and that was good. That was fine. I kind of liked the twist at the end. It was a little bit She-Hulky, put it that way.
Oh, okay, all right. It's sort of rug pull towards the end.
Yeah.
So the episodes are Joan is Awful, Loch Henry, Beyond the Sea, Maisie Day, and Demon 79.
Yes.
There might be a sixth one. I can't see it.
No, that's it.
Okay.
I think that's it.
So have you watched most of them? Or
I watched all of them. I watched all of them except for the last one. I fell asleep during the last one.
Okay. So you've seen 4 out of 5. Yes. Which is your favorite? I
think the Loch Henry one is good. You see, basically what I'm trying to say though, it kind of a few of these episodes kind of take a departure from the typical like everything's based on social media or technology or X, Y, and Z. You know, I like the Loch Henry one. It's kind of like a true crime, creepy caper. That was really good, and I did really like the Aaron Paul, Josh Hartnett, Beyond the Sea episode. That was brilliant. That was good TV.
Okay,
but that's a little bit more Black Mirror-esque, but a little less so.
A little more Black Mirror-esque is important when it's Black Mirror.
Yeah.
Do you think the departure helped or hurt it? You know,
helped it.
Fresh?
Oh God, I think Black Mirror is going so stale. Every episode was more or less kind of the same.
Technology were bad.
Yeah, a bit tropey. Where this is a departure and it felt a little bit more like Twilight Zone-y and stuff, which is a kind of like going back to the original Black Mirror.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like episodes based in the UK are a bit more kind of horror orientated, or less kind of futuristic and technology scary, and social media is awful.
Okay. So, do you know if there's going to be more Black Mirror, or is this the end of it?
I know, I'd say there's going to be more. One of the Demon 79, I think, is the last episode, which I'm enjoying. I am enjoying it. It's fun. But Demon 79, that kind of starts off like a Red Mirror production or something, which apparently somebody was telling me was going to be a Black Mirror spin-off that was kind of just going to focus more on the obscure, paranormal, and spooky.
Okay, all right.
You know, where one with Black Mirror,
classic horror.
Yeah, Black Mirror will be more futuristic, tech-based, alt reality kind of stuff, where Red Mirror would be. And I don't know if that's going ahead or not, but I like the idea. You know, more anthologies, more horror anthologies, anthologies in general. I love them.
Cool.
But yeah, that's all I've watched in the last 4 or 5 weeks was that season of Black Mirror, which just came out, and the last season of Ted Lasso.
Okay, did you enjoy Ted Lasso?
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the strongest of all the seasons, but then also
the strongest is the first.
Yeah.
I think this is stronger than the second.
But a little bit, you know, the reason I think also it's a little bit bittersweet. You know, it's wrapping up storylines. You know.
Yeah. I think I went into it loving Ted and loving the world, but like looking back on it, it's a real wheel spin type of show, because like the stuff they do at Nate, ultimately is irrelevant. Yeah, I didn't really. I even said to Emer, I wasn't keen on the fact that like kind of I thought it was great that Nate turned heel, but then kind of when he kind of they had nothing to do with him when he did, because they couldn't get him out of. He didn't sit naturally in that place. Yeah. So it was a cartoon character to begin with. The stuff they do with Ted, it's like, it took you 3 seasons to go, you want to be with your kid? I know, yeah, it's yeah. Like, I like Beard suffered from one of those things. The less I knew about you, the better. Yeah, I know they had to like, I don't know, they could have done less with him, I guess, but I guess my thing with Ted Lasso is ultimately I feel like we didn't get much beyond like forced sentimentality to make us feel like people progressed, but it's like I don't understand. Everybody made their own bed and then everybody fucking tried to, like, you know, the way like immediately Nate makes a choice to, you know, turn heel, as you say, and ends up working at that Rupert football club, and then has to walk it all the way fucking back. And in the very same way, then if you take it back, Ted chose to come to London, and then over 3 seasons decides to just walk it back. It's like, yeah, why did we do this? I can't remember. Did they win the champion in the end, or they lost it? They qualified. I can't even remember. I can't remember if they won, but they qualified to get into the Champions League. I don't think they won, but they qualified to get in the Champions League, and then he quit. But like, yeah, at the same time though, it is kind of just like, it's like, dude, you're 3 seasons in this club. Why are you still here? You know, you do it again. The like the superstar footballer that they brought in, but then they walked him out. That was funny. I was kind of thinking like, oh, this could be terrible, but that was kind of funny. But I suppose though, because they had to kind of be like, no, the team get it there through their own merits, not because of a superstar footballer. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the restaurant that Nate was trying to go to,
Taste of Grease, something like that. Yeah.
yeah, where the maitre d', like the insinuation in the first one was either it's racist or classist reaction to the guy. She won't give the guy the table.
Yeah.
And, you know, it thinks like that is the only sort of reasoning we're sort of given for, or maybe I'm missing something, but it feels like the reasoning we're given for him being rejected every time he tries to go to that restaurant.
Yeah, it was.
And then
it
they
was like,
walk her back to the point of like, what?
I know.
Now they're a couple? How does that? Did she, what?
Yeah, some strange things. I like Ted Lasso, but I felt the season suffered from just trying to wrap it up quickly in one season, and I felt that sometimes with Ted Lasso, it's like you kind of forget how wholesome the show is, and then how forcibly wholesome the show is.
Yeah,
you know, because we kind of, yeah, we know what kind of culture that's involved in football, and this show is a very Americanized depiction of.
Yeah. I do wonder if we won't look back at Ted Lasso in years to come and just go, you know, like this was a success and people loved it, but like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, possibly. Like I hear, look, it's an enjoyable show.
Yeah.
Season 1 and 2 actually, I think, are good. I think season 3 is not terrible by any means. I think
they're all of the same caliber, really.
Yeah,
but it's just like you get to the other end of it and you're like, what was the... Okay.
Well, there's potential for spin-offs, apparently. But like, I do like Roy Kent. I like Jamie Tart. I like Keely.
Yeah.
I like some like the characters are brilliant in it for sure. But I was just going to say I think one of the things, because they obviously final season, they want to wrap storylines up and blah blah. Like here, don't get me wrong, I laughed and enjoyed it 99% of the time. But it's just because of the final season and trying to wrap things up, I feel it's suffered, you know, less Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
And I wanted more Ted Lasso.
Yeah, Chris and I were watching it, and we were talking about the idea that like, it's fun watching a show where people are like involved in a thing and trying to make it run and working their own departments of it.
Yeah.
And we get to see that operation. And we came into a show about Ted Lasso trying to like get a football club going. You know,
yeah,
and all the squad and the cogs and the pieces that make that work. And then season 3, like the majority of the people aren't working about the football club, and they're just like, it's the interpersonal relationships. You don't see that much Ted either, and we're like, what the fuck? What is this? Again, not terrible. Just like, I don't know. I was a little bored. Like it was a bit of a slog to get through. Like they were hour-long episodes almost, which I don't think the first season was. I feel like maybe there were more episodes and they were half hours, but they were long. I watched, it sounds like you didn't get a chance to, and I'll try and talk vaguely about it, but I watched the first episode of Secret Wars.
Oh, I watched it.
Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion. I did watch it. Actually, I did. I got a chance on Friday to watch it.
Okay, give us your thoughts on Secret Invasion.
Great. You probably didn't like it.
What did you like?
Well, I was actually surprised with kind of the quality of it to a degree. Some of the shots don't look great and all that kind of stuff. I will admit that, but I think it could be a fun espionage action thing.
Okay.
Geez, I'm trying to remember, pal. I should really watch these things more mindfully instead of just turning my brain off and drooling and going.
That was a wank at the end of it, was it?
No, it was more me going.
Okay, well,
you've
you've got the opening section with Martin Freeman.
Huh?
You got the opening section with Martin Freeman.
Yes, yeah. Which I knew, traitor. I knew it wasn't. He wouldn't wear a neck scarf like that.
Yeah, the minute you see that hat.
Yeah.
Then Nick Fury comes back to Earth.
Yes, which is when he walks out of the spaceship, it's weird because it's just like, why did you like that so fake looking? Like it just doesn't look good. But like it's just like
we're not going to get into at all how people are getting up or down from a space station. We're not even going to show you the ship. We're just going to backlight Nick.
Yeah. And it's just like it was an odd choice and it was unnecessary. But I you know, like as in like they could have actually just done a lot. Like, they could have done a lot less to make it look more realistic. You know, but I did like. Sorry, I really like the. I can't think of his name, but he's the main Skrull guy.
Talos.
Yes, I really like him as an actor and a character.
Mm-hmm.
Was go on, anyways. You do a breakdown.
No. I'm trying to. You said you watched it, so let's recap it. If you were trying to get it back into your head about the things you liked about it, or at least what the things that happened in it, and then we can talk about what you liked about it.
Yeah. What did you think?
So he gets back to. Nick comes back to Earth, meets up with Talos.
Mm-hmm.
They give us an exposition dump. He meets Olivia Colman.
Oh yeah. In Russia,
They
she was
have
great.
to get the there's bombs. We meet the resistance organization. So they try and get ahead of the bomb thing, and then there's kind of an action to.
Oh yeah, sorry. That was great. I like that whole like bait and switch type of thing and chasing the guys down and stuff. That was great.
Mm-hmm. And.
Oh yes, now I'm remembering. Yeah.
And then the end of the episode, you remember.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I don't know that it's a spoiler, but
spoiler alert.
But spoiler alert, I guess. It is dealt with in the media and the advertising around it. But I won't even say it. But that's just the way the episode ends. So
I was just going to say though, I really liked the chase scene kind of between Nick Fury and the other Skrull that was like constantly changing and all this kind of stuff, you know.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. The little like they walk behind a wall and somebody else walks out behind it. Like that
really
was
liked all that stuff.
Cute.
And he was very anonymous, kind of standing among all the destruction and stuff. I thought it was great.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So your hopes for the rest of the season?
I'm always hopeful for these things, pal. The only thing is, I was shocked about the AI intro, and I don't know if it's there yet enough to. But obviously, Marvel probably filled it enough with their own original art to come up with this thing, and they did it in such a way. But I think it could have been actually. I think like they could have used that as a vision board and then go off and do an actual human-made one that would have been cleaner and nicer.
So the opening credits of this movie or this show are kind of controversially created through an AI image or video generator. People are pretty annoyed because they feel it's undermining the work of very hands-on artists that would do these credits ordinarily. I'm somewhere in the middle because that's what I do. I fence it like an asshole.
What do I do?
100%. I don't want AI doing these things.
No, well, it doesn't look as good.
Said, if the department that makes the opening credits of these things was made up of artists that were like, we can get this job done quicker today and get on with it. But beyond that cost and consideration, whatever, it is a very valid argument that here is a tool that is controversial and is getting flack for replacing human creativity or replacing human involvement and being sometimes indecipherable from human work or indiscernible from human work, and sometimes feeling human but also feeling weird and off. I think that's very, very on theme for what this show is dealing with in terms of shapeshifters.
I agree, 100%.
So
something not quite human, trying to pass off as human.
Quite human, and I think, fuck it, I actually think it's a great idea.
It was. I thought the same as well. I was like, either they have a really good PR person that managed to spin it that way, or it was intentional. But I'd imagine.
I think there's no way it's not intentional. Now, did somebody go, and it'll be cheaper and quicker, and we'll see if we can work on this with this way in the future? That's a bit shadier. What I would love to see is the type of thing we've seen with Andor and the like Perry Mason show and stuff, where over the course of 6 or 8 episodes, the credits change to reflect the narrative. And if by the end of it, these credits were something way more human, as the world becomes clearer and solider as the narrative comes along, I would be really impressed if that were the case. I sadly do not think it is, but that would be the arc of this thing creatively for me. I didn't enjoy it.
Okay.
I wanted to, and everything they were saying about it as a piece of espionage television was like right in my wheelhouse. And it's going to be like the Winter Soldier, Captain America the Winter Soldier, and it's going to be like whatever the hell else, but like it okay, so the opening thing got flack for being an AI generated credits. I was watching, and I don't know why of late I'm getting really picky on scripts and line delivery, and I'm like, I didn't like the script. It, like, anytime anything gets espionage, anytime I hear the word dirty bomb, I'm like, okay, we're back in the late 90s, early 2000s when they started using that phrase, because it's a terrorist buzzword that audiences can get behind.
Yeah, I love it.
The opening Martin Freeman scene with the guy, like, there is no way in hell they did not watch the Charlie Day scene in It's Always Sunny, where he's like trying to solve the conspiracy that's happening in the office he's working in, because that guy was giving it loads of shoulders up around his neck and pointing at the board behind it. It's a conspiracy, it's out of control, but it goes all the way to the top. I could not get that Charlie Day.
I thought of it, but I thought of the scene, all right, but kind of didn't hinder me.
I found it distracting. The scene where Talos and Samuel L. Jackson go to interrogate the bomb maker guy. I was like, this felt like they took the scene in Pulp Fiction where Jules and Vincent are, trying to get. You remember the next time we see them where he's like, is Marcellus Wallace a bitch, or they're trying to get the suitcase back. That in the apartment thing.
Yeah.
Like Ezekiel carry a big stick. It felt like they were just using that as a roadmap for you get to lie to me once, you get to whatever twice, but boom goes the dynamite and I'll shoot you in the it really felt like it felt like they had ChatGPT write a script for a spy show referencing Pulp Fiction, referencing Charlie Day, referencing whatever. I was just like, these are boilerplate scenes that are boring and bad. And I just did not enjoy it. The stuff with Olivia Colman, she's so fucking chipper and undermining the space, and it's the same thing that Julia Louis-Dreyfus is doing.
What about Emilia Clarke?
Yeah, and Emilia Clarke is in there as well. Okay,
Talos for the
and
listeners at home, Aidan looks sad.
Talos and Samuel L. Jackson are engaged in this sort of interrogation while Maria Hill is waiting out in the car. We have her following Emilia Clarke. We see a whole action sequence. I say action sequence, fight between Talos and the bomb maker who is a Skrull. And he's like, no, this has to be, this is my battle, you know? And he has that moment, no, this is my battle or whatever. And it's like, we have no, that sort of phrase is used when, I think about something like Lethal Weapon 1 or other things like that, where a character has been a menace to your hero throughout an arc. So there's a grudge being built up so that when he says, no, don't you intervene, this is between me and him, that's earned. So when Talos is giving you that sort of angle on it, I'm like, I don't know your relationship at all. Why is this your battle? Just let fucking Samuel Jackson hit him in the head.
I think it's his battle because they're of the same species, the same race. I remember kind of...
hold on, let me just finish that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Talos is left sitting on his ass, kind of depressed there. And then we come to that scene in the alleyway where Cobie Smulders gets hit and Emilia Clarke is walking away. And then all of a sudden Talos is beside Cobie Smulders going, where'd he go? And it's like, hold on, how did you get from there to here? it didn't link up. He talks to Emilia Clarke. Emilia Clarke goes back to the base, and then he talks to her again. It's like, when did you two agree that you were going to have meet in a secondary location to give us more exposition?
And that's his daughter.
But that's the character. Yes, yeah. It's a little bit of a reveal, but like, it's not like you didn't see it coming.
I didn't see it coming.
But it's the two of them meet in that thing, and there's a tense standoffy thing. She goes back to base. And then there's a scene with the two of them meeting in an alley. And it's like, why didn't we do this exposition dump in one place? Also, he lets her walk away with the bombs at that point. She's got a backpack full of bombs, and she's stopped because he's got a gun pointed at her. Sorry, this guy's trying to blow up and eliminate the human species. Like, whatever about your relationship issues, get the fucking bombs?
Yeah.
Oh, buddy, I don't know. I was like, what the fuck is this? You know?
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping for things to be like, okay, Samuel L. Jackson's walking around with a bit of a limp, and he's walking, and people are like, you feel like you're out of step, you're not keeping up. And it isn't. I was hoping for there to be this moment where it's like, you think I'm not ahead of this 12, like, and the limp goes away, and he's suddenly been playing everybody this whole time to look weak.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they didn't do that. Saber, again, we're still like, since the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, we've known that Talos, is it Far From Home? It's not even No Way Home. It's the end of Far From Home that we see that Nick Fury is Talos. Mm-hmm. So that's a while. And then we have that reveal of him on the space station. Have we seen the exterior of that space station? We've heard it called Saber. We have no explanation as to why or what Saber is just yet. We're still like just talking about this as if it's like, maybe in the comics there's a lot of understanding of what this is, and there's a lot of like guesswork, but like, it's still this vague concept. No one's gone, hey, Nick Fury has been assigned to a thing in space and he's up there doing whatever. We've got no context for this yet.
I was tempted to read the Secret Invasion comic because it's on the Marvel Unlimited app.
But they've expressly said, they told the director and the writer, don't look at the fucking comic, we're not doing anything to do with it.
Oh, okay.
Because this, to quote, is born out of the spark of electricity and relationship that Talos and Samuel L. Jackson had in Captain Marvel. Okay. And they went about putting together a project for them to work on. And it's like, well... And then the director of the thing, like the writer's credits, I'm not overwhelmed by. The director's credits, he directed 2 episodes of Condor, which is an espionage series for like Hulu or something. Criminal Minds, Hand of God, The Looming Tower,
God is good.
The Calling. There's a lot of TV that is grand. But like you're saying, Hand of God is good. That is an Amazon show with Ron Perlman and Dana Delaney. Looking at the poster of it, honest to God, I've never heard of it.
Okay, it's good.
I'm sure it's fine, and I think that's the problem with it.
But
it's fine.
So it's a thumbs down, most definitely from you.
Every time they have to run, everybody looks so old. The camera movements are so slow and clunky. I was baffled watching it. I was like, how is this bad?
Wow, geez. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah,
but,
I know.
But I'm also...
I know that I've seen people react positively, and I've seen whatever. But I think the thing is, it falls into a category of like...
Okay.
Peacock streaming service espionage show that somebody's watching, but I don't expect that from Marvel. I expect top tier. Treadstone is another like Amazon Bourne Identity spin-off TV show that ran for 2 or whatever seasons, and everybody's great in it. Well, I say everybody's great. Everyone's fine. It's just not it. The first episode is not doing it for me.
Okay.
And I'm tell you, I'm not really optimistic for the rest of it. I'm just trying to think that the chase, Kobe Smulders.
Let's not.
I'm not gonna get spoiled, but like the moment they walk around a corner and it's just like, right, we're in the darkest room we can get with as many close, tight cuts as we can possibly get. So the actors are nowhere near this. You know what I mean? Like,
yes. I was saying, let's not get too hung up on you not liking a show. Let's move on for a second.
All right.
So, because like, as in, like, you know, let's try and fit in as much as we can. So
Let's try and what?
Fit in as much as we can. Let's not get too bogged down. You know. No, you know, but
here's the thing: we both watched.
We're
avoiding the spoiler content of it. We can both talk about it.
But okay. Well, I was gonna say though, because I want to say something. But what I was gonna say is, well, I remember when I read comics, when I started getting into comic books, the Skrulls were far more like a formidable foe, and like where like they were kind of like, you know, Jesus. They're fucking. They're so capable of anything. They're so strong. It's scary. You don't know who's Skrull or who's not. They're not as kind of foreboding or not foreboding. They're not as kind of. I don't know.
Well, they were at the start of Captain Marvel, but they just undermined that.
Okay.
Do you not think? Like, I remember seeing the like when you think back to watching it and how like creepy it was and how well done in the Captain Marvel movie it was, where, you know, they arrive on the beach and you see some humans and it comes back and you see that they've taken the form of them, and like the fact that they could be anywhere, they could be anyone, was kind of creepy. And like Talos, when they were breaking into that military base to get the whatever details again in Captain Marvel, and they're flying away, like he's a threat. It's just that he becomes this kind of comedy thing in the third act of it. Yeah. And yeah, I'm not usually as firmly cranky about a show, but like I was. Oh no, I don't know. I think I'm pretty. I think I can be overly critical, but I try to be balanced.
So, what did you like about Secret Invasion?
I honestly don't know if I can say I liked anything about it. Because like at the start, okay, there was like some clever stuff. I mean like that when Martin Freeman and the other guy are running up the building and you get the shots of the lights coming up. That's a nice, simple, effective thing. That shot that you talk about towards the end, where the shapeshifter is like shifting through a number of things, and Nick Fury's kind of pursuing them. But like, how is this any different than the villains in Falcon and the Winter Soldier?
Well, yeah, for sure. They're just another faction, a kind of Splinter Cell faction type of thing. Well, look, it remains to be seen.
But it's another bunch of villains played by B-list up-and-comer television actors.
Well,
they're like, they're good looking and they can deliver a line, but like, I don't give a fuck.
But I think Olivia Colman is far from B-list. I think she's incredible.
She's not the villain.
Do you not think she's going to be a villain?
I don't know, but she again kind of like when it was Robert Redford in The Winter Soldier, he played it so straight and has an espionage history to him. Olivia Colman, it was, I don't know, it's just distracting. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus is doing the thing as well, where again she's just swanning in, and I don't know. It didn't. Oh, were you extraordinary? Oh, great! You've got over mediocrity. Okay, well, you guys can leave. Let's sit down. Oh, Nick, do you remember that time in Budapest?
I'll remember.
You've never been as slow before, Nick. I would have seen you coming in. And then he's like, "I'll let you guys get me so that I can come and talk to you." And it's like, oh yeah, now that you think about it, that does seem like the possible reason thing for it to do. That makes actual perfect sense. I should probably trust my instincts that I've known you for 30 fucking years and you're very good at this.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And there's this stuff like, okay, I'm getting hung up on the technology, but if you go back and watch the little like camera recording footage that they're watching because Nick planted a little bug in the room, like, are those, okay, is that camera taking footage of two individuals in a room ignoring their space relationship, bringing them closer together for the sake of projection, and showing them to Samuel L. Jackson in the other room? Or were these two human beings standing a foot and a half away from each other at a 45-degree angle from one another? Because go and look at the staging of that little shot where, Olivia Colman's looking this way and the guy she's talking to is looking that way, but they're a foot away from each other. So what is that? The footage from The Office? Because that's fucked. I really do get the sense that Olivia Colman delivered those lines to nothing, and then the other guy delivered those lines to nothing, and then they put the two things together in a visual effects shot. It was crap. Just give us the scene. In an effort to give us some weird holographic technology, they could have just given us the scene in The Office where Olivia Colman gets to act opposite a human being, and then we go back to a shot where Samuel L. Jackson's watching the conversation on a screen.
Fair. So you're looking forward to episode 2?
No. You giving the episode thumbs up or thumbs down?
I'm going to give it a thumbs up.
Cool.
And be optimistic.
Okay. I think it is like the scroll that goes to the gate to join the Skrull community. Very simple TV thing. Show us your true form. He goes, show us your true form. He could change form however the fuck he wants, but instead he takes off his hat. The hat comes over the face. The visual effects noise plays. And now he's in his Skrull makeup. And then he changes back to himself, and the hat comes back over to hide the visual effects taking place, and the hat comes back on. The guy that gets shot and reverts to the Skrull thing, you just hear the noise off screen. They're like, it's efficient TV budget filmmaking, but they're just hiding visual effects to avoid cost. And I guess it makes sense, but it's just all things that add up to this feeling crap.
Fair. Speaking of other crap things, did you watch Kraven the Hunter trailer?
I did, yeah. Do you mean Morbius the Lion Man?
Yeah.
Do you mean
it's lion time? Lion's blood into his.
Yeah.
Into his
do you know the other movie they cancelled, El Muerte?
Yeah.
It's about a Mexican wrestler that gets his blood exposed to something and has superpowers.
Oh, really?
Yeah. What, Sony? Why? What did you think of that trailer?
Oh no, not for me. I think the only thing that was I found remotely intriguing is it in it, and it's not good either. But like, don't get me wrong when I say this, it's not good. But the only thing I found remotely intriguing was, you will see why they call me the Rhino, and that was it.
Okay. I can see why it's fun. I didn't know that we were going to have a Rhino thing, but will we see why they call you the Rhino? It's probably because you're the Rhino and you're in, like, we know this character.
But it was better when he was a guy stuck in a suit.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, man. It adds a little bit of extra whatever, storyline, story arcs, character, whatever. You know what I mean? Like,
but he's. Let me guess. He was a zookeeper that got caught in his enclosure with a rhino, and a meteor hit, and he got some rhino blood in his blood, and suddenly he's got the strength of the rhino, and he can see as far as a rhino, which is actually not that far. They're pretty short-sighted.
But he has tough skin like a rhino.
I was in the opening of that Kraven trailer was like, okay, here we go. Kraven the Hunter, famous Kraven the Hunter. Kraven the Hunter. It's Kraven the Hunter. He is a human man who hunts things. Okay, let's go. Oh, it's not Kraven the Hunter. It's Kraven's son, who's taking the mantle of Kraven the Hunter, and he has superpowers. And he's immediately like doing like sniffy vision, and he can like camera flying through. It's all the visual effects package that Sony have paid for, and at this point, it feels like it's off the shelf stuff that they're just like using. Like, they're not doing anything. Like, I feel like there's one guy in there who goes, okay, well, we'll give it the old first-person camera through the city, then we'll give it the old motocross bike jump off of thing.
It's 2000. They're still doing doing like there's a motorbike jump in Venom. There's probably a motorbike jump in this. It's just man. It's a relic being,
which is a shit. Like it's was about to say I like the cast in it, but it's like I like Russell Crowe. I like, is it Aaron Taylor Johnson? Is
Something like that, yeah. I like him, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't really know about anybody else in it.
He's good, and he looks good in the role, and he looks convincing. But like, boy, this stinks. This has got a stink on it immediately. And the suggestion that Craven is going to tie into the next Spider-Man movie, and it's like they are so desperate to use the characters that they have rights to that they're trying to turn everyone into a fucking superhero or an anti-hero. And it's the fact that Venom worked for an audience financially. I don't think Venom worked at all over 2 films. I don't like those films.
They're awful.
The fact that they
even I have a line.
Oof, I don't know. It's rough, dude. It's rough.
It is rough. It is rough.
And the writer's strike going on at the moment is it's another example of me believing remotely some marketing where they're like, we're pushing everything back. It's going to get pushed 2 years based on what's happening with the writer's strike, and we're going to take a moment to restructure and whatever. And if you tell me you're going to take 2 years, slow down, and start making stuff of better quality, fucking amazing. But what I expect to happen there is probably a lot of people aren't going to be working on these projects anymore. You're going to start over. You're going to ditch projects altogether. You're going to change the visual effects houses you're working with, and you're going to ask less of them for more money. And I mean, you're going to pay them more to do less because that's how you're going to get better quality stuff. But I don't entirely think they're going to do that. I think they're still going to be churning out mediocre visual effects on as cheap a budget as they can.
Yeah, to be honest, sometimes it's not. Dude, the problem with these movies isn't the special effects. You know,
no, it's hiring. Again, you go back to the very start of Marvel, and they went, we're putting money into Favreau, we're putting money into Branagh, we're putting money into director after director, actors of highest caliber that they could get. You know, like Robert Downey Jr. was granted a troubled history in the man, but an A-list actor, with Jeff Bridges,
fucking Anthony Hopkins, and you know what I mean. Like they went for it. Samuel L. Jackson, you know.
Yeah, they got actors of great. Yeah, and then these are some mid fucking performances, and I don't know.
I mean, it's just you know, how many superhero daddies is Russell Crowe going to portray, but it's just like kind of, oh man, I don't know. Like there's obviously there's properties that Sony own within the Spider-Man universe that they could do an actual superhero movie based on, instead of so clunky trying to make these villains heroes.
But forget superhero as well. Okay, the first one my mind goes to is Spider-Man. You got the Black Cat, right? Like crime heist movie. You know, don't give her superpowers. She's a cat burglar. She wasn't bitten by a radioactive cat with cat vision and can got 9 lives. Let's just do a fucking heist movie. She's a burglar. Yeah, you just got people in that don't get it. And like the advantage of Feige behind Marvel the entire time was like he got it. And even they're just dropping the ball. It's just too much.
They're too much, yeah, we're too big. But I hope that Hypno Hustler still comes out.
Which comes out? Oh, Hypno Hustler. That's not gonna fucking happen.
Yeah.
But like Donald Glover's gonna take a fucking paycheck for a year and a half. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I'd be very surprised if we see a Hypno Hustler show.
Movie.
The other thing I watched this week, or over the last week and a half, is it's on Amazon. I highly recommend it. I'm going to go positive. Jury Duty.
Oh, I've heard of this.
Yeah. So, without going too far into it, it is a reality show. It is following the ups and downs of jurors appointed to a case, and the 2-week, 3-week life they have while sequestered in this or in relation to this particular crime. And it's a court case in LA, so okay, there's a bunch of strangers and whatever in it, but James Marsden is there because he got called to jury duty, which just happens. But the premise of the show is it's completely faked. Everything is a show for one of the jury members.
Yes.
And this guy is just put in the middle of oddness for say 7 episodes.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I'll check it out. No spoilers.
It's so fucking funny, man. It's so funny.
Okay, awesome. It's a piss rainy day here in Dublin, so
you'll fly through it.
Yeah.
The characters are likable. They walk a line sometimes of like you're watching it going, how can he not know that this is fucking lunatic? How can he not know that this is faked? And you start to. The guy is also. I want to believe. When I see these things, I'm also like, I want to believe, right? And the guy is lovable and sharp and funny and kind, and it's like, I want this guy to be real. Like it's not. It is not too much of a spoiler, again, because it's not a narrative spoiler. Mm-hmm. But like the first time he's sitting in the waiting room with James Marsden, and somebody like recognizes him, and he's sitting next to him and goes, "Oh my God, you're the guy from X-Men," and he gets it. And he's like, "Oh, you're him." And Marsden's like, "Yeah.
I love James Marsden though.
He's some movies you've seen," and he goes, he starts name checking films, and he goes, "Sonic the Hedgehog." And the real guy, Ron, goes, "Wow, yeah, I heard that was shit." It's like, God. Wow, what a weird reaction to
celebrity talking about.
If you were with a celebrity and they named a film they were in, would you go, "Oh, I haven't seen it," or would you go, "Wow, I heard that sucked"? And he doesn't do it out of badness. He just gave his like honest reaction in the moment. Like he's like, "Oh, I really liked you. Oh, I heard bad things about that film." It is so funny. There's a character in it who I found out after the fact that he's another actor that you'll recognize, but he was on Parks and Rec, and somewhere very early on, the guy playing the lead guy was like, "Oh, I'm a big Parks and Rec fan," and they went bollocks, and that guy had to sit in the fucking room and be in the show, but they were like, we can't go down the route we had for you because there really is a chance he might recognize you. Oh. So you kind of have to just lay low.
Oh. Okay, I'll check it out.
Highly recommend it. Very fun.
Yes, hopefully it's on Amazon here. I'm sure it is.
Yeah, it is. It's an Amazon original, so it'll be there.
Yeah, epic. Okay, that's great. How long are the episodes?
Half an hour.
Great.
You'll fly through them. There's like 7 of them.
Grand.
Half an hour, 40 minutes maybe, but like they're fun.
Grand.
If it's a rainy day, throw them on.
Yeah, I think the plan is today is to do, because like I said, we've had pretty much a wild month of it. So yesterday we just kind of chilled out with the dog, went to the park, I read comics. Very nice day. But I think today is probably just going to be much of the same, except without the park, just chill out at home. Mm-hmm. Watch some good TV, read some comics.
Cool. That sounds like a good plan. I got Marvelous Mrs. Maisel as well, season 5. Final season. I'm trying to watch through that.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm really enjoying it. They're using a new device where they're kind of like, I say using a new device, they're like, it's very clearly set in like 1959, 1960, 1961, but the first episode opens in 1983 with her daughter in a therapy session.
Oh wow, interesting.
And the second episode opens with her getting interviewed in the mid 80s in a very Joan Rivers style, but then it goes back to the world, but it's showing you. I was thinking about it as well. It's like it's showing you the career that this character could have had or has had. They're showing you where they've. I think it's a very fun way of showing you, like, if we had been allowed to run for forever,
yeah,
we could have had so much fun in the 70s and in the 80s and in the 90s, because they like each credits. Like, once they show you a clip from the 80s, the opening credits look like the 80s show.
Okay, very good.
And the 70s look like the 70s. And, like, you know, if we were to come back in 5 years and spend some time with her in the 70s, they could do it because they've shown us how much fun the fashion of the world is. There's a big musical sequence at one point, and it's like they love musical stuff.
Love musical stuff.
Like I can genuinely see a Maisel Broadway musical happening.
Oh wow!
Because it's so production value heavy anyway, and like I wonder how they'd cover the extent of a career like that. But like, I could see them doing a Maisel stage show.
Yeah, take your word for it, buddy. Quick question.
Take your word for it. Never going to watch this shit. Fuck you. Okay, got it, Kev. Got it. Okay.
I could watch it. Never say never. I just haven't watched. I actually really just haven't watched much now in the last while. But quick question for you, because I have not listened to the previous episodes yet because I want to watch the Spider-Verse and the Flash first. Have you seen both those movies?
I've seen Spider-Verse. It's. I want to see the Flash because there's so much around it, but it's also hard to bring yourself to go and see what looked like a piece of shit, and by all reviews is a piece of shit.
Yeah, where are all these like great reviews? And I've seen this is brilliant, and people are saying it's great.
When you think back on that, think about again, we're getting this from rumor mills and movie websites. Early test screenings show that the studio's really excited. Early test screenings have been really good, and the studio's really excited. It's the best thing. It's a change of course. It's a righting of the ship. We have heard this from Aquaman. We have heard this from Wonder Woman 1984. We have heard this from Batman vs. Superman. We have heard this from Justice League. Every one of those films, we have been told how great test screenings went and how it's a righting of the ship and how excited the studio is for it. We love it. It's test screenings are amazing. Every one of those films. And every one of them is dog shit.
Apparently the director of The Flash is going to do Batman Brave and Bold.
Like fuck.
Yeah.
He might have been in discussion for it at one point, but I don't know that he is now.
James Gunn was like, when we saw early views of The Flash, and I knew straight away that this guy should do Batman and was going to be in safe hands and blah blah.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I saw somebody going, like it was a picture of us smiling, whatever the fuck, and it was like James Gunn the day he realized he didn't have to hold on to any of the old DC stuff, because The Flash is the last tie that was supposed to be universe spanning reset for the DC universe. And I think based on this reaction to it, based on this reception, and based on like you can keep your mouth shut leading up to the release of a film, but once everybody has seen it, it's going to be harder and harder for James Gunn, who is critically self-aware and able to critically evaluate a product. It's going to be harder and harder for him to look at that project and go, that was brilliant and I stand by it. He's going to just go, yeah, whatever, we're moving forward.
You just need to burn the fucking Snyderverse. Let it go. Jesus Christ, it's dead. Just let it go.
Yeah.
It didn't, look, say what you would about the MCU and them not being good lately and all that kind of stuff. They are 10 times the world building universe that DC ever were.
Yep.
DC Snyderverse is just, it wasn't good. It wasn't good then. It wasn't good now. The fucking relaunch there they did, or the Snyderverse movie they did a couple of years ago, the re-edit wasn't good. It's just let it die.
Yeah. But it's so fucking funny that there are people who like these things.
I know, but
right?
they just like their
Chris
dark,
and I have spent the last 2 weeks here talking about film and stuff, and we looked specifically at Knock at the Cabin and Knock at the Cabin and Renfield, and how much we thought Knock at the Cabin was a simple stage play like piece of tense drama with good performances from Dave Bautista and the crew. Not perfect by any means, but a good film. And Renfield is fucking trash.
Renfield, excuse me, I'll do it again. Renfield, it's a hard watch. I didn't finish it.
Trash. It's so hard.
That's nothing to do with Nicolas Cage.
No, it's him as well.
No, I'm just saying, people will dismiss it because it's a Nicolas Cage movie, but it's not it's not to be dismissed on that basis. But it's like it's a rip off of. We were watching it with friends of ours, and it's a rip off of What We Do in the Shadows, essentially.
Sure. But the point I was getting to there was I've literally spent the last 2 weeks on and get off again having and touching on the same conversation that like how good was Knock at the Cabin, how terrible is Renfield. I was at a party the other night and I heard someone go, I hated Knock at the Cabin. Renfield was amazing.
There's just people out there that are wrong, Aidan, and that's our takeaway from this episode and from life.
I'm right, they're wrong.
Yeah, 100%. Also, all that Titanic stuff. Were you watching it?
I have been watching the submersible stuff. Yeah. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, like, you know, I feel tragically sorry for the poor 19-year-old kid that died. Apparently, he didn't want to go on the thing.
I don't feel any more or less sad for any one of them. I feel as equally sad for all of them. Everyone fucking died on it. Like. That kid got a $250,000 ticket to go and see the Titanic. He was fucking very, very lucky and very fucking privileged. Well, and the 50 trips that worked before, would indicate that you thought you were going to be safe. You know,
but you know,
I feel as bad for all of them, is what I'm saying. I'm not going to separate.
Yeah, well, you know, I know what you're saying, but at the end of the day, like, who wants to see the fucking wreck of the Titanic? It's like
many people. Who wants to go to space? You know, like many people who'd go to the moon if they could.
I could understand like wanting to go into the depths of the ocean and doing some exploring there, but like kind of just to be able to say, oh, I saw the Titanic, it's just like whatever. Yeah. Anyways, you know, we you know, any loss of life like that is sad, of course. And I see a lot of people on the internet just saying like fuck billionaires and all that kind of stuff. And yes, fuck billionaires. They're the worst.
Pointed at the microphone.
Sorry, fuck billionaires. They're the worst. But and then we had how many hundreds refugees?
700.
700 refugees.
Yeah,
that's fucking brutal as well.
Yeah.
Any loss of life is tragic, but obviously those refugees and what they're going through is particularly horrendous.
Yeah, like I think the greatest tragedy of all is how many open mics this week have been submersible jokes for so fucking many. It's been hard to be a part of. I also made plenty of submersible jokes. I don't know that I made plenty. I did go up and go, hey, we're all comedians here, hoping to make like a submarine and crush.
Oh.
The thing that I kind of got hung up on was that they found the submersible 3 hours after the arbitrary oxygen deadline ran out. Mm-hmm. It felt incredibly, incredibly convenient, and I'm getting weirdly paranoid or conspiracy theory. I mean, I've been in America for 2.5 months. I'm getting into my conspiracy theory vibe. 1,600 feet from the Titanic. You guys were searching twice the area of Connecticut, and you weren't looking within 200 feet or 2,000 feet of the Titanic. How did you not clear that area first? And then we've got the Navy saying they heard the fucking implosion more or less immediately. It's like, they knew where the fuck this thing was. They knew where it was. They maybe not immediately, maybe it took some time to confirm it, but I think somebody hit a point where they went, hey, we can control the news cycle for a solid week and keep everybody transfixed on this. And they did.
So yeah, you're saying it was Smoke and Mirror's job to cover up the fact that BlackRock and JP Morgan have basically bought Ukraine.
I don't know the ins and outs specifically of that. I would like at a simpler level, let's say people that weren't watching the news for a week watched the news for the week. I would say the price of ad time went up hugely, and media stations made a fucking fortune covering something that everybody was fixated on. Like, you know, my jokes was like, what happened when we weren't, it does, like, you remember they're changing the batteries on the birds type of thing. It was like, does it take a week to change the batteries on Biden? You know, like, it's like, what happened? I'm seeing tweets where people are like, hey, there's a accountancy error in the American budget to the tune of $6 billion. Oh, and the Russian mercenary group suddenly turned on Putin.
Which people are also saying could just be a way of Putin getting out of Ukraine and washing his hands of it and being like, it's not my fault.
Yeah, 100%.
Which would be great.
Like, I just don't know what legislation got passed in the last week that nobody was looking at.
Well, that's what I'm saying. BlackRock and JP Morgan.
What?
I missed
that.
The two big banks. They basically like
Well, BlackRock isn't a bank, is it? Is it a hedge fund type of thing, or like what am I mixing up with one of them's a fucking mercenary group, isn't it?
BlackRock and JP Morgan backed Ukraine's first development fund. So basically, it's like
yeah, it's Ventures
set up Ukraine Reconstruction Bank. Basically, they're going to benefit off of. It's like the
every
Holy
war
Record.
America's been involved in since like the 1890s. They've also had business interests that have swept into the country afterwards and helped them rebuild.
Yeah,
They sell the weapons to them to blow themselves up, and then they sell them the concrete to put them back together.
yeah, yeah.
Fucking
And
crazy.
that's what that is, and about all the wheat and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, don't ask me, man. I get my news.
Go see Spider-Verse. It's fucking amazing. See The Flash if you want a laugh of it.
I want to.
The Machine just got added.
I know.
To
I really want to
streaming.
watch that. Yes.
That looks fun. I think it's going to be dog shit, but like I
Yeah.
enjoy Kreischer. Indiana Jones is out next week.
Oh shit!
Mission Impossible is out the week after.
Damn.
Oppenheimer, Barbie. We've got some good stuff coming up.
Damn.
I'm coming back to Ireland on the 14th
Of July.
July. Yeah.
Oh wow!
It's so much sooner than I expected.
We'll meet
Well, it's not sooner than I expected,
again.
but it's happening.
Don't know where, don't know when. That's right. That's exciting.
Yeah.
I know you're not happy about it, but I'm happy about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure, we'll see what happens. Anyway,